Patriotism is easy to understand in America. It means looking out for yourself by looking out for your country. Calvin Coolidge. The word patriotism in and of itself is lofty, nearly insurmountable, not unlike the memorial that stands before you. But unlike the memorial, patriotism is malleable. It is not rigid and rough, but flexible and elastic, something that carries different weight and different meaning to each of the four men that you see on the mountain behind me. Patriotism is not merely a feeling, it is an action, a commitment to the ideals that our nation represents. George Washington saw America in its infancy, and he fought for it throughout. America was originally an idea, an experiment, one that Washington and his comrades worked tirelessly to bring to fruition. To him, the idea of patriotism was about loving a mere concept so much that you would be willing to both kill and die for it, regardless of the potential outcome, benefit, or punishment. Even after his 2 terms as president, Washington worked tirelessly to prevent the collapse of our infant democracy, leading speeches and writing essays on the prime standards and conditions of democracy, and how we as a nation may attain and retain these values. His vision for our country was not merely one of survival. It was about thriving as a beacon of hope and freedom. His fight for our country did not end at Yorktown, nor on his final day in DC. It may not have even ended after his death in 1799, due to the spirits of rebellion and community that he instilled on the American people and his successors. One of those successors, the 3rd president, Thomas Jefferson, whose vision of patriotism presented itself in the wee hours of the night that he spent hunched over his desk, writing and researching. It also manifested in the hour-long speeches that he gave before the Continental Congress, advocating for democratic ideals, and in the disagreements that he had with his co-workers. To quote President Jefferson, "Dissent is the highest form of patriotism." This underscores his belief in the role of discourse and debate in any healthy democracy. To him, the intellectual freedom that we experience today, the freedom of thought and the freedom of belief, that is what made America worth fighting for. And that is what led into the ideology of America's 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, a patriot cut of a different cloth. Abraham Lincoln's vision for patriotism was the same as his vision for our country, one where everyone could be free and united. It is one that he fought for throughout the entirety of the Civil War, long before, up until his death. He lost friends and loved ones in and out of the war, on and off the battlefield. Nevertheless, he persisted through our political system, advocating strongly for the ideals which he saw in the past, and more importantly, in the future of our nation. His Emancipation Proclamation was not merely a political stunt. It was a moral imperative, a testament to his belief in equality. Lincoln paid with his life for the country that he loved, and for the effort that he put into preserving its unity, because he believed in a house united, one where brother was not pitted against brother for petty political reasons, or large political reasons, but rather one where they may both reach across the divide and embrace each other. An America of love, of happiness, and of freedom for all of its inhabitants. The wake of the Civil War brought about a period of great expansion on both sides of the continent. As our nation spread westward across the Rocky Mountains and southward toward the Caribbean Sea, Theodore Roosevelt stood out as a leader among leaders, known for his prowess in battle, commanding personality, unwavering confidence, and deep respect for America's wilderness. To Roosevelt, America was worth protecting not only because of who lived here, but because of what lived here. He saw our natural beauty and diversity as integral parts of our national identity. Through his initial studies as a zoologist at Harvard University, Roosevelt further deepened his already immense understanding of America's wilderness systems, allowing that same wisdom to go on to fuel policies and procedures that would shape the future of America's lands, reserving over 200 million acres for federal public access, and setting in motion the sentiment that would drive Woodrow Wilson to found the National Park Service itself. Roosevelt saw this nation as a mosaic, one made of beautiful lands just like the Black Hills, and inhabited by equally beautiful souls, just like yourselves. America was worth fighting for, either to protect the land, the people, or the principles of democracy that America stood for, both at home and abroad. The spirit of patriotism, the spirit of America itself, has been wrought into the stone of the mountain, yet it stands as an icon alone. Much like the stars above us exist unconnected in space, with the lines between them and the stories associated with them made only by our fellow man, there is no American spirit in the lifeless granite itself. Rather, that spirit must be reflected in each of us. It is a spirit that calls for action, for engagement, and for a commitment to the ideals that define not only our country, but each of us as individuals. Because every person in the crowd here today carries with them the flame imparted on you by your predecessors and your ancestors. Some may consider it the great task which lie before us, as dictated by Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address. Others may consider it the continuation of the American experiment that was begun by Washington and Jefferson and is carried on through this day. The beauty in the memorial before you is the word of it, memory. The memory of these four men individually does little, but when combined and when reminded of their deeds and their actions and the collective sacrifices that they made for this country, we are all inspired to be better Americans and better people in our own unique, important, and beautiful ways. Now, not all of us are equipped to sally forth through the inhospitable conditions of Valley Forge, just as not all of us are able to lead armies across the land and sea, or pen essay after essay, defending American ideals and fighting for the necessity of our independence. What's great is that we don't have to be. Patriotism is not a one-size-fits-all concept. It is as unique and diverse as the people who embody it. The house lies before us, the foundation already built. And it is not up to us to tear down that house and reconstruct that foundation, but rather to patch the cracks where we can, just like maintenance done on the mountain. Every person in the crowd here today carries with them a fire, something worth fighting for, something worth being a patriot for. Every person in the crowd here today carries with them a little bit of Mount Rushmore. But the faces behind me are just that, faces. While they represent great men in American history and the ideals that each carried with him, they are no more or less American, no more or less human than each of us. Rather, instead, they remind us that greatness is not reserved for a select few, but achievable by all of those who dare to dream and dare to act. Achievable by all Americans. Now, maybe patriotism to you means fighting for your country. Maybe it means coming to this country in the first place, seeking a better life. Patriotism to you could mean taking care of your loved ones, and it could mean taking care of yourself, providing a better life for yourself and potentially for those who come after you. Patriotism can also mean standing up for justice, advocating for those who do not have the strength and power to advocate for themselves in the hopes that one day they might. And it could mean being a good neighbor. Your Valley Forge could be attending local community meetings to grow feelings of strength, support, and solidarity between yourself, your peers, and your loved ones. Your Gettysburg could instead be fighting for your constitutional rights in the form of protests on the streets of wherever you call home. Your penning of the Declaration of Independence could instead just be a proclamation of your own independence and your own individuality, that which are endowed to each American citizen. And your reservation of over 200 million acres of federal land could instead just be planting a community garden to sustain the people you love. Patriotism presents itself in hundreds of millions of different forms. The way it presented itself to me is a need for public service and conservation. I joined the National Park Service out of a love for my country, and following Roosevelt's example, out of a need to protect its naturally and culturally significant spaces. I do this to honor the sacrifices of those who came before me, and to ensure that those who come after me, our future generations, can enjoy the same beauty and the same freedoms that I do today. Some of you in the crowd here today may feel drawn to follow the same path that I have in life in expressing my patriotism. Many of you, if not all of you, will express it in a completely different manner, not only from myself, but from the person to your left and right. What matters is that variety, that diversity of thought that Thomas Jefferson fought so hard for us to achieve. Just as there is no one definition of American, there is no one definition of patriot. The diversity brings the concept its beauty, and the beauty of it alone is worth fighting for, always.